Would I be the idiot if I filed another noise complaint about my neighbor's very loud toddler? I'm really torn about this. I, 33, female, work fully remote and am a bit of a homebody, so I am usually in my apartment most of the time, either working or living my life as one does. Several months back we had a family move in across the hall from us with a little girl around 2 or 3 years old. They moved in over the course of 2 weeknights, so lots of banging and shout talking in the halls between 10 to 12 at night, so not a good first impression for both myself and my roommate. Over the months they've been here, their little one has proven to be extremely vocal. While working she will often scream bloody murder at the top of her lungs, loud enough that it feels like she's standing directly in my apartment. I've had people on calls with me, while I'm wearing headphones, ask who is screeching in the background, and I have to apologize and state that it's my neighbor's child. Even at night I will hear her screaming all the way in my bedroom, which is the farthest room in my apartment from the front door. It's not so much I'm scared. Screaming, that would warrant a different call, or, yay, I'm a toddler having fun. Screaming, it's more, I'm throwing a tantrum. Screaming, and there are some days where it's near constant. I will be doing laundry on the bottom floor, we are on the top floor, and I can hear her all the way on the first floor just yelling and screaming clear as day. I have called and complained about them to our office. They also shout talk in the hallway to each other when they have visitors, and no carpet in the halls means it echoes and is loud, and I know multiple other neighbors of mine both on the same floor and downstairs have called with complaints too. Yesterday I had called in with a bad migraine, and even in my room with the door closed I could hear her going full air raid siren, even until 10 p.m., and that just made my blood boil. It doesn't even sound like her parents try to get her to calm down. I've spoken to my friends with kids about this, and they've told me to just keep it moving, because parenting is hard. I am an aunt to 2 spectacular kids, so I get it, but I don't think I should have to deal with an out-of-control toddler who screams all day and night. My neighbors already have 2 violations for excessive noise, and I believe one more could get them evicted. While the noise is definitely an issue they have been warned about multiple times by management, I should add that they don't speak English, or I would have talked to them myself, and interferes with both my work and downtime. I can't help but feel immensely guilty knowing I may get a little girl and her family evicted. But even as I write this post, she is banshee shrieking and has been on and off for close to a half hour. Would I be the idiot if I filed another noise complaint, even though it may result in a family getting evicted? Edit. Just making an edit to answer some questions I've been seeing asked repeatedly on here. 1. Noise cancelling headphones aren't always an option for me. My job requires me to make calls, and I can't make and take calls with earplugs in. Also, I've had people tell me they can hear her over said headphones, which is embarrassing too. My office space is in an open area, so I can't really noise-proof my home office. 3. It costs $1,000 to break my lease, and I have a roommate to consider. I've also been in my apartment for 8 years, and they've only been here for 4 to 5 months. The only thing getting broken around here are eardrums and my patience. 4. I have no clue if she's on the spectrum or not, or if she has a disability. 5. I don't suspect abuse and have not called CPS, however a wellness check may be in order. 6. I cannot move my home office, nor can I work at a friend's house, as I work in a department that works in confidential information, so I need to be at home or at the office. I also suffer from chronic pain, so work from home is easier on me mentally and physically. Also in my post when I said, I'm an aunt, I get it. I mean that I understand kids can be loud. I get it to a fault. Not completely, as I'm not a parent, but I understand. Thank you very much for all the feedback that has been given so far, I really appreciate it. Now for a few comments before the update. Clearly you are not the only person who feels this way, as they have other noise complaints against them. If they have received those complaints and still done nothing to change the situation, then they only have themselves to blame. I get that parenting can be extremely difficult, and there may be issues that they are struggling to solve with their daughter, but in that case they need to find somewhere to live where they aren't causing all their neighbors' problems. Maybe apartment living is not for them. You're definitely not the idiot here. Comment 2, not the idiot. I get it, having and raising kids is not easy. And younger ones throw tantrums, it's part of life. But for it to be constant, it's intruding on everyone else's quiet enjoyment of their living space. I am an uncle to a special needs child, Downs and autism, and this is not normal. Now for the update. Hello again. It's been about a month since my original post, and I thought I'd provide an update. Before I get into it, I just wanted to thank you all for reading my original post and offering your opinion on the matter, whether it was making me TA or not. However, to those who told me to pay the $1,000 lease breaking fee or buy a house, I take PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. So to cut right to it, I ended up filing another noise complaint against the neighbors across the hall after a particularly bad tantrum that involved not only screaming and crying, but banging against their front door as well. It lasted from 6:30 p.m. to roughly 10 p.m., and I managed to get a small snippet on video to show the office staff. The next day I went to the leasing office and showed the manager the video from the night prior. Needless to say, she was appalled and apologized profusely, stating she didn't realize they were being that loud on a daily basis. She had me fill out another written complaint and said that they would be sending out a final warning, meaning that if they didn't get their act together in a week they would be served a 30-day eviction notice. While I filled out another written complaint, she explained to me that the family was Indian and confirmed that neither the husband or wife spoke English, though the wife could understand a bit. She also said that every time they came to the office the little girl would run around screaming and jumping on furniture while the mom ignored her behavior. Even when they went to sign the lease, she said they brought at least 8 other people and their kids with them, and these kids would also run around screaming and jumping on the furniture. I know it was suggested she could be on the spectrum or have a disability, but since other kids were behaving like this, I think it's more learned behavior. After the warning was sent out, it was quiet. Too quiet. I noticed their carport was empty as well as their other car. And it wasn't until the other day when I was coming up the stairs after doing laundry that I saw an older gentleman leaving the apartment. I smiled and gave a polite nod and managed to see that their apartment was completely empty. No furniture, no nothing. It seems like they abandoned the place as eviction. From what the office staff told me, wouldn't be that quick. So that's my update. It looks like instead of taking the 7-day warning, they just abandoned their lease instead. They always had visitors, so I think they have a very supportive community around them and probably moved in with friends. While the situation overall sucks, I'm glad that it didn't come to eviction. Thanks again to all of you, and I hope your day is full of awesome. Comment 1. I'm glad your apartment complex actually did something about it. The last couple places I loved didn't give a damn about dogs barking 24/7, or the one that tried to attack me in the hallway, my neighbors trying to kill each other, or the guy doing repairs on his truck and revving his engine for hours over several days. I got warned for changing a tire. They just told us to call the police, and they weren't dealing with it. I'm glad they left on their own. What an absolute nightmare. Comment 2. My current apartment complex, in the US, has a ton of Indian families. During the warmer months, the children play by running through the parking lot. I ran over a soccer ball once and popped it. Another time, I had to slam on the brakes as 2 girls ran in front of my car. The parents do not care at all. They just sit on the patios and talk to each other, as their children run all over the place. It's a nightmare. They use the lobby as their personal holiday space, making tons of noise and making it difficult to walk through at times. My GF and I are closing on a house in 3 weeks, and we're ecstatic to be getting away from all that. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not inviting them to my Christmas party after they didn't invite me to their wedding? I throw a pretty big Christmas party every year going on a decade now. A few years ago at one I threw my friend Tara met my former coworker Tony, and they hit it off. They dated for a while, and 2 years later, once again at my Christmas party, she showed up with a ring on her finger, and they announced for the first time that they were engaged. I was super happy for them. They got married this spring. We didn't get invited. When I was sending around my party invitations this year, I didn't see any reason to invite them back if they didn't think I wasn't worthy of making their guest list. I have known them both for years, basically introduced them, and they literally announced their engagement at my home. It got back to me today that they're very upset with us for not inviting them this year, that my party is something they consider special, and they think I'm being petty. A couple friends mentioned it was a smaller wedding and they feel like I'm just punishing them. It wasn't though. There were probably 200 people there and I knew at least 50 of them, and I was a little surprised at some of the names that made the cut over us. I didn't make a stink about it or anything, but I don't see why I should welcome them into my home again after being snubbed like that. My partner thinks I should just let it go and invite them back, but I don't see a reason why I should. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. If they can't even invite the person who introduced them to their wedding, then I don't think they should expect an invitation to your Christmas party. If you're not close enough to make it to the wedding invite list, why should they be close enough to you to make it to your Christmas party? Then the poster responded with, haha, you don't know the half of it. Over the last few years we have literally had it catered, had bartenders inside and outside, even hired someone to entertain kids earlier in the night. My partner and I put so much time, energy and money into this every year because we love our friends. It started out small when we were younger, and now it's this big thing. I just don't like being taken for granted. Comment 2, not the idiot. Normally I'd say that they can invite or not invite whoever they want to their wedding. But by that same logic, you can invite whoever you want to your party. You're upset they didn't invite you, they're upset you didn't invite them. Now for the update. Since I got so many requests to check back in, here's the update. 1. I stuck to my guns and did not invite them to my Christmas party. My partner stood by me when I told him I had made my decision and didn't bring it up again, either did our friends. 2. Many of you guessed that they would try and crash our party. I got worried that could happen after all the responses, but thankfully it didn't. Probably 100 plus of you guessed she wanted to hijack the party to announce she was pregnant. If that's the case, they haven't told anyone as far as I know. 3. They did, however, decide to try and throw their own party at the same time as ours. Several friends told us they were trying to convince them to come to theirs instead. I honestly hope they had some guests and had a great time. I wish them no ill will. But I think just about everyone we expected came to our party, so I doubt they poached any guests from us. 4. They made enough of a last-minute fuss over this that the whole thing became the gossip of our party. Their doing, not mine. I chose to not engage in it, but the consensus I heard was everyone thought it was bizarre they chose not to invite us to their wedding and that complaining about not being invited to our party was in poor taste. 5. Most common question on Reddit was why did we not get an invite to their wedding. From what I can tell from people at our party gossiping about the situation, they've said it was because we're a little bit older than they are. I think that's weird since my partner and I are both 35, they're 28-29, so it's not like we're very far apart. Tara used to hang out with us at least once a week when she was single and I literally introduced them. The whole thing still seems strange to me, but I guess it is what it is. So yeah, that's how it all went down. Our party was a blast. We got to see so many friends, some of which we haven't really seen since before COVID. Everyone had a great time. People literally brought toddlers we hadn't gotten to meet yet because of how crazy the world has been over the last couple of years. It was a wonderful evening. I hope y'all had as good of a Christmas as we did. Comment 1. Yeah, it has nothing to do with your age. You and your spouse throw this big party. People enjoy your hospitality and appreciate you. If you came to their wedding, you would have taken attention away from the bride. People would have talked about your parties. They would have socialized with you, and at the end of the day, the bride and groom were not mature enough to deal with that. Comment 2. The fact that they decided to throw a party at the exact same time shows what immature people they are. You moved on and had a great time while they will sit at home pouting over this for years, probably. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps the channel grow. See you next time.